Hello guys, welcome back to the Big Screen Show. My name is Victor.
My name is Jorge.
I'm Alex.
And we are back for our Secret Invasion Episode 4 recap and review. We're so excited for this. We just got done watching the episode. What do you guys think? What was y'all's first impressions?
Well, to me, I was blown away, to be honest. I had so many theories of what some characters could go into the show, and they showed us in this episode, like, everything that it was, like, theorizing. General thoughts, I like this episode a lot. It's been my favorite so far. Even though it's been the shortest one, I think it's the one who has had the most tense moments in the show so far. And I would say the most revealing ones as well. So, to me, it's been the best one so far. I really like that. I like the revealings in the episode. I like the conversational, more slow scenes in this one. Whereas in the previous ones, I like more the action scenes. In this one, I really like how they took like slow scenes and build up the tension between like the characters.
Dialogue was perfect.
On point. And yeah, overall, I loved it actually.
Favorite episode then?
Yeah, so far for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
What about you?
I actually put this as my favorite episode too, because as Jorge said, with the more like slow moment that was built up by like the character himself within those moments that was like set up beforehand, as well as some ever present scenes that was revealed in this episode. And it really shows how like that's like it's real good core strength in there with like the character interaction and stuff like that, rather than just relying on like its action stuff like that.
Correct. And
again, what made this episode to me the best was that the crazy shocker that was revealed in like in this whole beginning minutes, and then also by the episode's end.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree 100%. I think this is also my favorite episode, and which was crazy because when I first saw that it was the shortest episode, I was frustrated. I think I speak for all of us when I say when it's a short season that is only 6 episodes, and then you give us continuous content around 50 minutes above or a little below, that's solid. Then at such a pivotal point in the series, you give us like the shortest episode yet, but I knew there must be a good reason for this, and sure enough, like, I mean, wow, like, literally, like you said, the dialogue was perfect. Every single word that was said by anyone was, like, meaningful and impactful. I think the things that were revealed were pretty much, like, questions we've been gathering and theorizing this entire time that we've been running through it, and it just all came to this point where everything was revealed, and now I think we're left to a point where we don't know what's next. Yeah, so we all rate it as our favorite episode of the series so far.
So far, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, for me, the dialogues in this episode were so high quality.
Yeah.
That comparing to like the other 3 episodes were pretty good as well.
Yeah.
Pretty solid.
It's been solid all around.
Yeah, but this one I feel like, especially with Nick Fury, like
took it up levels.
Like his performance in this episode, wow.
Yeah.
Like really, like amazing.
Right, I agree. Yeah. So now, this is your spoiler warning. Those are our general thoughts. Without spoiling anything from this point onward, we will be discussing specifics of the episode. So if you haven't seen it or don't feel like hearing it, click off now. You have been warned. But with that being said, the initial opening scene where we see Gaia in a flashback where she used the Super Skrull machine to give herself extremist powers, and turns out she is alive.
Correct.
And then intro immediately. So I love that. Like, what were your like? I was like so excited. You called it.
Yeah.
You thought she was alive.
Well, my theory was like, it's impossible that she's dead this soon, this early in the show. Like,
but I thought the same of Maria.
True. But
so that's why this time around, when I saw her turn green, I was like, oh no,
it's
like,
a definite
it's
death.
done. Because like I had that faith, in episode 1 at the end, I was like, no way, like the show's just starting. Like Maria has to be alive.
Okay.
But sure enough, she was dead. So seeing Gaia turn green, I was like, I'm not falling
That's
for
it.
this thing. I was like, that's it.
That's understandable. The thing for me is like because I saw her in the episode 3 like messing up with the machine or like getting to know the machine.
She was getting curious.
Yeah, she was getting so curious. She was like investigating, and that's why Gravik. Well, that's one of the reasons why Gravik got like suspicious about her. But you know, she started like investigating, like playing around with it, and I don't know if in that time, like I felt like okay, she might like you know go through like the procedure to get the extremists on her,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe like when she got shot, I was like, well, maybe she didn't die because she's like gonna record with extremists same way Gravik did in the meeting he had with Talos.
Yeah.
You know, in the museum. So yeah, for me it wasn't an amazing point because like honestly I wanted Emilia Clarke to continue in the show.
Facts.
Like I love her,
Love her.
as an actor, you know,
Yeah.
and it's been a great character so far. And I wanted to see more of Gaia,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because I felt like if she would have died at that point, it would have been so little what they showed us of the character. So I really wanted to see more of it, and gladly we did. You know?
Yeah, it would have definitely. I agree. Like, if she would have died at that point in time, then her character as a whole would have been extremely disappointing, and if anything, a
Yeah.
loss of potential. Really.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Which you actually touched on in the first episode, is you were like in the second episode you were desiring, or after the first two you were desiring more dialogue from her.
Yes.
Yeah, and then you've also touched on that the lady characters in the show, like Maria and Gaia, if they were to be killed off when they have, which Maria actually did end up being killed off, then it just seems like such a waste and, if anything, like tragic.
Yeah.
So I fully agree with that, and so thank God she's alive.
Yeah.
We're excited about that. She's forced to side with Fury now due to the end event, the end scene. Talos is dead. Well, supposedly. But I think
yeah.
he's dead.
Oh, he's dead for sure.
He's dead.
You think so?
I
Oh
think
yeah,
so.
I know so, because there's no way he's surviving that.
A bullet
I mean,
and a knife?
Yeah, he literally got shot and then literally
Stabbed in the heart.
Yeah, stabbed him right in the heart, right in front of Fury, and because literally he fell flat dead on the ground with like no moving, and he wasn't even breathing, and there was like literally a close up shot on him in his dead scroll body. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he's dead.
Yes. And I also, another thing that makes me believe he's dead is the way Fury looked at him and left him. I believe if Fury believed there was some way of him actually living through that, he would have grabbed him and put him in the car.
But I think at that moment, Fury's mission was solely
The president?
record the president. Yeah, that's why I don't know.
That's his best friend.
I
He's not gonna
know.
leave a scroll to this army that
Right.
doesn't know they even exist.
Right.
Nah,
True.
I mean
That's how I see it.
I still have 1% of faith.
You have
that-
faith?
Yeah, that he's alive.
What?
Yeah.
Yo, if you think that,
I hope
If you
that
think that it
somehow
happens-
I hope that somehow Gaia gets to him and takes him to the base where the lab is.
do you think you could do it even if you're dead?
I hope so.
I don't think that's really.
Because they're
possible.
strong. They're stronger. Like Skrulls are stronger than humans, you know.
Well,
Yeah, they are,
Well,
yeah.
but it
So-
also shows, but also in literally past episode, it's literally shown that the Skrulls can literally die by normal means. Because like in the first
Yeah,
episode,
yeah.
like one literally like fell off a roof and like
And died.
he was and died.
True,
Right.
true, man.
So yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think I may have been uncertain and about like Gaia's death, but like as you said, you were very positive that she was alive. Because like I'm honestly so relieved that she's still alive. Because like right by Nick Fury, she's like one of the best characters introduced in this series.
Yes.
So like, but I'm pretty sure this will be a major turning point for Gaia and like her resolve on side with Nick Fury and to go against Gravik. So. I really think Talos staying dead, it seems to be more beneficial for her story turning point, especially since like Talos has been trying to get her to come back to his side and try to see things more from his perspective.
Right.
Like this is probably gonna shatter her impact of ways of thinking more, but maybe by the end it's probably gonna make her have more of a change of heart and try to see things from a different perspective and try to see the way that Talos would have wanted.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So now, let's talk about Priscilla. That was a very interesting thing to occur in this episode. I think was definitely it was like half a curveball, but like also half like we could tell this was coming. If you know what I'm saying, like in the sense that at least for me, I could tell she was definitely leaning towards Gravik's side, definitely having some affiliation there. As we talked in the last episode, she was on the phone at the end of last week's episode with Rhodey. So I thought we would see this coming. What I did not see coming, the other side of that coin, for me was she was tasked with a mission to kill Nick Fury, and that to me was like super like wow, you know, like that left me in shock.
That was cold.
I was really shook.
Right?
Yeah,
So
that was cold.
But you could agree with me, I think, that we saw this coming, like her kind of having that meeting.
I saw her like having a connection with Gravik. I didn't know to what extent
Right.
she was involved with Gravik.
Yeah.
But yeah, in this episode we can see that she was or she is, I don't know at this point, pretty involved with Gravik.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if like Gravik's purpose is aligned with hers. Like her motives, I don't know if her motives are aligned with what Gravik wants to get.
What would you say her motives are? Or is that exactly where your statement is coming from? Is that you
yes,
don't know
because I don't know. Because
okay,
like,
yeah.
I don't know if she got to Earth with the mission of like finding a new home as like all the other Skrulls were in that situation.
Right.
Or more as like a Skrull spy that, you know, works with Fury.
What? Yeah.
You know, and like maybe like her journey has been different to like the other Skrulls, you know.
Well, I would buy that due to the conversation she had with Fury.
Yeah.
You know, saying just basically kind of almost saying my life would almost not have been any different with the decisions I've made even before meeting you.
Exactly.
Because it was part of my, almost saying like it was almost part of my plan the entire time to get to this point.
Correct.
So that I found very interesting. What were your thoughts on the Priscilla situation?
Oh, but so they was, yeah, I was actually pretty shocked and stuff, but I also feel like as it got down to like the confrontation between her and Nick Fury, because like again last episode Fury suspected that he was probably suspicious of what side she was gonna be on, so he had her bugged and able to listen on the conversation between like her and Rhodey.
That gave me, at least for me, that was a little glimpse of the old Fury there, like 10 steps
yeah,
ahead.
yeah.
You know, which I was very
True.
happy to see. Because
Exactly.
you would think this like weak old, as they say, dusted Fury would not have made that play. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I was very happy to see that he did make that play.
Same.
And that gave me still hope that he still got it. Because I think he does. It's just like kind of deep in there.
Yeah, it's just he's going to get pushed out much further since he's definitely getting pushed further.
If Talos is really dead, then I think that is what does it.
Yeah.
He's gonna completely come out of his shell and be like, all right, I'm done playing games. Like, we back. Yeah. So what? Yeah.
But yeah,
Continue.
back to that one. I definitely feel like her and Fury still definitely had like some feeling. Definitely had some still good feelings for each other still, because she was still
Priscilla and Fury.
Yeah, because she was definitely, after the meeting with Rhodey was done, she basically told Rhodey that she didn't really have. She said there wasn't a need to kill him, but I think she really didn't want to kill him at all, because like I think
She was almost playing both sides of the coin there.
kind of. I think she definitely did have some feelings. Like even though it felt like her job was basically to get past Fury's defenses, like this whole entire time playing the long game and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But even Fury even said all the dumbest, riskiest, and decisions he's ever made. He always said that him marrying her and being with her was the greatest mistake too. But I also think that maybe they were both kind of lying to each other a little bit, because they didn't want to fully try to admit to each other their real feelings. But when he got to the final confrontation, where they literally had the scene where they both put their guns on the table, they were basically reciting this poem that they had spoken to each other.
Right.
That was a flashback to that year 2012, like after the attack on New York City in the Avengers film with the Chitauri.
Right.
It kind of showed this whole like feeling where she actually wanted a moment like being like desire and love.
Yeah.
But then when it got cut back to the present day in that final moment, as they recited the poem to each other, they both fired the shots off simultaneously, but they both missed on purpose. So clearly they still had feelings for each other there, but at this point I think they know that they really can't, there's no point of them being together this much anymore, because like, she had their side, they have their own sides, although I think now she's probably going rogue maybe from Gravik at this point.
I think, you know what's interesting about that is like, it was like a definitely a separation, like we're each going our own separate ways, but also it was that they came to that decision out of the actual true love and connection they actually did have.
Exactly.
Yeah, and also adds more depth because before they had put their guns on the table, or maybe had been like actually during, Priscilla actually gave an explanation on like how and why she chose the body that she's been in with the human form.
Right, the
Where
doctor.
where she actually had met a patient who was basically
Dying.
Yeah, basically dying, and how she basically would talk with her every day until her end, and the scroll Priscilla basically asked the real Priscilla before her death to basically take her form and stuff like that, but made her have a promise.
Three promises.
Three promises. One was essentially bury the real Priscilla out at sea, which she did. Second was to be a daughter to the real Priscilla's parents, which she did. And then the third, because after spending all that time together, Scroll Priscilla had basically told the real Priscilla about Nick Fury and stuff like that. And so the third promise, which seemed like the most important one, was don't hurt him. Yes. And after all this time, in this final reveal, she did.
I think ultimately she kept her promise, of not hurting
I agree.
Nick. Even though
she would have shot him right there, then yeah.
Yeah, but before all of that, plotting with Gravik and everything, I think it's more justified for the fact that Nick kind of disappeared after he came back from the blip.
Yes.
So she didn't have a support from him to maybe I don't know.
Maybe if he would have stayed, it would have been different.
Exactly. So that's where I'm going. I could see her motivations of why she kind of betrayed Nick in a way.
Right.
But she didn't. I think she kept her promise and didn't actually hurt him.
Yeah.
I mean, they show she missed the shot. But in that scene, I think that Nick changed his decision when she told him the story of how she picked her human body. Because I think he was ready to kill her.
Okay.
I think he was ready to do what was necessary,
Mm-hmm.
Because especially after hearing her conversation with Rhodey.
I was fully prepared for him to kill her.
Same.
Yeah.
I was so convinced that he was gonna kill her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But when they cut, they showed that none of them shoot each other.
Yeah.
But I think that conversation and that explanation why she picked that body changed his decision, or at least influenced a lot his decision of not killing her.
Why do you think that?
Because I think he saw a more human, the more human side of a
The
Skrull.
more real side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I buy that.
That scene, I believe it's been one of the most deepest emotional scenes in the MCU, to be honest. I found it very powerful because it's coming from a very cold character, which is Nick Fury.
Yeah.
And the whole cutting, going back and forth with the poem, I found it extremely, extremely beautiful.
No, yeah, I agree, actually. I didn't really think about it in that way until you just said it, but now that you said it, I actually fully agree. I think the fact that, because we don't know how other Skrulls go about choosing their human body, but as far as we've understood it, as far as this show is concerned, it's been in a very overtaking manner.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? With against people's will, if you will, And Fury noticing Priscilla actually being basically respectful about that whole idea of her basically taking up another human's life. I think it did a lot for Fury. I agree. I buy that. Yeah. But speaking of how Skrulls take on human bodies and human forms and how they go about it, I think now the biggest question that's up in the air is, where is the real Rhodes?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Right? I think, at least for me, that's the biggest question right now. Where is the real Rhodey? For me at least, that's the biggest question I have, the biggest question that I need answered, because I don't believe that it's a situation where the real Rhodey is just out there somewhere. I think he's definitely captured. I think he's definitely under. It's not looking good for the real Rhodey right now. That's all I can say. Or at least that's how I feel. Right. But what a reveal, guys, that we got in this episode.
Shocking.
Shocking, but if you've seen our previous videos on this series, you've seen we've been theorizing about this for at least a good 2 episodes now, ever since episode 2. Because in episode 1, you definitely felt suspicious about why he was acting all politician and stuff, but you also left it out as a possibility because like we haven't seen Rhodey in a little while. Maybe this is just like what his vibe is right now.
Yeah.
But in the last 2 episodes, the way he's been moving has definitely been suspicious.
Yeah.
You know, not the Rhodey we are used to, especially when it comes to his conversations with Nick Fury. I think the way he's been conversing with Nick has been super out of place as far as like the Rhodey we've known and loved.
And how much he's been trying to avoid talking about the Skrulls.
Yeah.
You know, which is like, why
and
would
just
you?
and just like dismissing it, dismissing the whole thing. You touched on it in our episode 3 video. You said like what felt so impactful about that conversation where Rhodey fired Fury was the fact that Fury came to him as a friend to ask for help, and Rhodey just completely like in one ear and out the other.
Literally.
Which like we know the real Rhodey would go to lengths to help Nick Fury
Exactly.
in any situation, and would at least at the minimum, if his hands were truly tied up, would at least hear him out. You know what I'm saying? And actually pay attention.
Right.
We finally get that revealed. We are shown a scene where a Skrull is showering, and I personally was very lost. I was like, I don't know, because it had blue eyes, very bright blue eyes.
Mistake me if I'm wrong, but was that a female Skrull?
I think it was.
That's what the vibe I was getting.
Yeah,
The way he was wrapping around
I'm
the
not
towel.
crazy,
The guy with the
right?
towel
Like-
was wrapping the towel around itself, like from the
Right.
top half. It felt like it seemed like it was female.
Like he had some
Right.
female characteristics that I was
Yes.
like, whoa, what is going on here?
No, I fully agree.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, I totally thought it was Gaia, even though it
Same.
didn't look like
Same.
Gaia Skrull.
Right.
At least, but we haven't seen adult Gaia Skrull. We've only seen
When
like young.
when she got shot too.
True. Right, it was like not a
very
great
quick,
angle.
Yeah.
But the blue eyes with the
Throwing you off.
super blue
Yeah.
eyes was like what was throwing me off. I was like, I think this is Gaia, but I don't, because like those blue eyes, like I haven't seen blue eyes like that. Well, really anywhere, but not
Right.
on a Skrull. And sure enough, goes to the mirror and phases or shifts into Rhodey. And what was y'all's thoughts when that happened?
Well,
Initially.
to me, it was like shocking and releasing at the same time because I
Yeah,
felt
you've been harping on this for a hot minute.
We all have
like
been.
honestly like
Actually, I think you've been harping on it since episode 1.
I have.
Yes.
And
I've actually called you crazy. But hey,
it's
good
okay.
job.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Now I've been convinced that Rhodey's a Skrull. I mean, I don't know, like it made sense somehow,
It did.
but it was so shocking because I wasn't expecting that Skrull to be Rhodey. You know, I was expecting that Skrull to be Gaia
Mhm.
because in the first part of the episode, you first seen, they show how Gaia was like recovering. I thought like, okay, maybe she went home to take a shower and like, you know, like think out everything that just happened with Gravik and everything, and it, you know, sure, like it wasn't that wasn't the case. You know, it was like Rhodey, and I was like, whoa, what is going on here? Made sense, but still shocking to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah, for the whole Roy reveal, after our last discussion, we theorized, and I was actually, it all pieced it all together, and I was like, yeah, you were right. It all makes so much sense now,
Right.
with the way, because like you mentioned the way how
Because
Rhodey's-
we were really angry, if anything, at
Yeah.
him. Because, like, you know...
Decided to, yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly, with the way he was always talking with Nick Fury and stuff like that,
Yeah.
being like all brash and like having this like attitude, kind of play with joking around with him, thinking like you fire Nick Fury,
Yeah.
but then later on, after we find out when the Skrull Lord, he's like all dressed and Fury like is just in the room in there,
Yeah.
and Fury's trying to have a conversation, and Rhodey's just like all on the defensive, saying like, "Yo, what do you want?"
Right.
And basically having this whole cocky attitude, thinking like he's got Fury dead to rights, like you can't do anything. Like just thinking like talking to him in the way that you would probably do like someone who's like completely under you, and like really talking to him like he's Fury's boss,
Right.
like he's nothing.
Right.
Literally.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. But that whole conversation that they had, I thought was also really great.
It was.
Yeah, I love Samuel L. Jackson's way of going about it, and the writing. I also give credit to the writers. I thought he was toying with him.
It was.
He was toying with him. It was a completely like he was fully aware of the situation and was basically trying to play with him as much as possible before getting to the point of like, I know about everything.
Yeah.
To him.
Like, I know, like, you're probably the mole, like the
Yeah.
scroll mole in the U.S. government.
Exactly.
I
Yes.
have a little theory about Rhodey.
A current one?
A current one and an old one.
Okay.
So I'll go with the old one first. I think that the Skrulls took Rhodey after Civil War.
Hmm.
I know Alex thinks differently. I think you told me that you think that they took him after Endgame.
Yeah.
Is that correct? I think it was after Civil War because, you know, he had the accident. Well, not the accident, but, you know, Vision shot him in Civil War. He got paralyzed in the legs. And after that, we just seen like a different kind of Rhodey in a way. Like, try to like reminisce like throughout the movies after Civil War. And like, it moves a little different, you know.
So, okay, so that's your past theory.
Yeah, that's my past theory.
So what is your current theory?
So my current theory, I mean, I don't know much.
This is your current theory
Yeah.
on Rhodey.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know much about the comics, but I know that in the Skrulls, there's a Queen Skrull named Benkara, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that Rhodey might be Queen Benkara. And with that in mind, I think it might be like 3 different parties of Skrulls. So you have like Talos, you have Gravik, and then you have Queen Benkara. And they all like, you know, they all like move according to their own motives, you know.
Their own agenda.
Yeah, so I'm not like completely sure that Rhodey or Queen Benkara or whoever is directly like working fully for Gravik, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah, but that's a stretch. That like, you know.
That is a stretch. That is a hot take.
Yeah.
But I like it. Okay. Yeah. Any last thoughts on the situation? Any of it?
I do have probably potentially do have a possible theory of what could happen, like the next episode. I only have like this one thing where Gaia finds out from Nick Fury that Talos is dead, and I feel like in this next episode they're probably gonna try and take Rhodey for information and probably have to
The real Rhodey or the Skrull Rhodey?
the Skrull Rhodey, because we have no idea to know where the real Rhodey is.
Yeah. No, I'm asking. Okay, continue.
So yeah, I almost think that Nick Fury is probably gonna try to work with this Sophia lady that's been around since like the first 2 episodes in season, and also the lady who was trying to torture that Skrull in episode 2.
Yep.
So I think he's probably gonna be like a sign of desperation where Nick Fury has to like maybe make this like deal with the devil type sort of thing, or have like sort of common interest.
Yeah.
To try and get the information, you know, and to finally beat Gravik.
Okay.
And I think probably the best source of that is to actually attain Skrull Rhodey.
Okay. Interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
Okay. So that's your theory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think definitely, at least for me, like, the biggest question still left out there is definitely, like, where is the real Rhodey? We want to know, I want to know, I just speak for myself, where the real Rhodey is. I think that matters a lot right now, at least for me. And then, yeah, I think also where the events of this show are going to go right now, at least for me, is unknown, right? Because as we saw in the end with the big kind of breakout shooting on the highway with the motorcade, you know, and on the highway, and you know, basically the U.S. thinking that it was the Russians attacking them, and now Nick Fury being in control of the U.S. president's safety. We will see where this goes. You know, I guess this could be considered the beginning of that war that Gravik has been touching on, that he wants to commence, you know. So I think episode 5 will obviously set up the finale, but I think will be, in my opinion, the only theory I could have is that there will be a lot of action and a lot of consequences to that ending scene, because, you know, at least in the real world, if that situation were to ever transpire, a lot of stuff would go down, you know, potentially World War III, right? So we will see where it goes. So do you guys have any last thoughts?
No, not for now.
No? Yeah, so with that being said, please leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and if you like content like this, please consider subscribing, as it does help us out. We will be back with you guys next week for our episode 5 Secret Invasion recap and review. And this has been the Big Screen Show. We'll see you guys next week.
See you guys.
Peace out.